Hi.
Hey, good morning, all of you. Good morning in India. Good afternoon in England, Europe, and good evening in California, and sleepy time in East Coast. So, welcome you all, and this is the live broadcast. Um, we have a special guest today. My name is Ramana Annamaraju. I'm the host of this broadcast, and we are now introducing very special guest. She will be talking about the things that psychotherapy. She's a licensed psychotherapist. She's going to give you a lot of new things for us. Understanding the She is from Bronx, New York. So I will introduce you in a second. Before that, the today's program is Fractal Medicine Part Two. It's going to be very interesting. Fractal medicine is a part of the consciousness hacking. What are the alternative ways we can hack the consciousness and then feel better? That is our goal of this whole program, yesterday and today, and we are going to continue that today, from yesterday. This is a special program. Fractal medicine is kind of very close to my heart. uh, you know so before let me introduce you Christine Spataro, and she's from Bronx, New York. She's a psychotherapist there. She treats a lot of inner city kids, and she's in the middle of the definition of inner city, in my view. So I think she'll be talking a little bit about it, and then I will be asking a couple of questions after that. And uh, Christine, welcome from New York, Christine.
Thank
Uh,
you.
yeah, please let me know what is your life, and where you got the degree. And just give some background of yours.
Okay, background a few words. So I am a native New Yorker, born and raised. I got both my bachelor's in psychology and undergraduate degree, master's degree in psychology and counseling through the City University of New York. I have been a practicing psychotherapist since 2001. So you could probably guess how old I am. I won't lie about my age, but I won't advertise it. Just say well over 30, we'll say that. I have started my career working with traumatized children, and then began working with adults as well. So now pretty much my scope of practice is children and adults. I used to work in person. Then a little thing called the pandemic happened in 2020, and I'm not a superstitious person, but I went virtual Friday the 13th of March 2020. So I will never forget the day I went virtual. I've been working virtual ever since. I really love it because it's allowed me to be very flexible for my clients in terms of time, also in terms of geography. Because before, where I was limited to, a specific geographical area for them to get to me, I can see clients up and down New York State because I'm licensed in New York State. And as I also am a certified professional coach, so I do certified coaching services as well. The little difference in that is for my psychotherapy practice, I am dealing with people who have had really serious trauma or just going through things, dealing with a host of issues, PTSD, depression, anxiety. Where coaching you don't necessarily have a diagnosis, but you're feeling stuck and you need a little help to get unstuck. And there is a lot of overlap. But the thing with the coaching is that allows me to also see people in other states and to help them through things they're going through as well. So my psychotherapy practice is based in New York, but then I can also do coaching in other places. I can even do it internationally for those of you in India. Just putting it out there. So what does it mean when I help people get unstuck? Well, tied to what you were saying before, where you were talking about, tapping into the consciousness or the unconsciousness, as it were. So, when we come into this world, we come in these as these amazing beings with incredible capabilities, and the world is literally our oyster. But stuff happens to us. Our environment happens, experiences happen, and they imprint on us and they influence who we are. There's an area of study in psychology called epigenetics, which talks about the idea that we're born with certain genetic predispositions and our environment literally will turn stuff on or stop stuff from coming to light. And for better or for worse, we are our experiences. However, that's not the whole story. For while our experiences can influence us and can impact our life path, we can change course. I like to think of life as like the ultimate GPS. You know how, like, when you're driving in the car and you set the GPS and you're going down this road and, like, shoot, you made that left turn when you should have made that right turn. But then the GPS recalibrates and you're able to then still get on the road you need to be. So I see that as the work that I do. I help people recalibrate their life so they can be on the road they want to be. So they don't have to stay stuck on a road that's not working for them.
So um, let me just say that, yeah. So Christine, I think I'm going to do, just give me 1 second.
Sure.
Okay. So
Okay.
Christine, so
Yes.
thank you for that's a beautiful, you have a, what a background you have. It is a very impressive background. Um,
Thank you.
particularly treating in the real field, real people and real
Yes.
problems, is not some high story building and sit down in the 42nd story building and then treating people in couches. No, you're really in the field of action, really where this really things needed, things are needed.
Hmm.
So I we come back to the other point is, you know as you, if I understand you, you're from last name, you're a Hispanic background, right? If I don't mind, if you don't mind to
Yes.
say
I'm
that.
actually, oh, I don't mind at all. I will state my background. I am actually half Italian, half Spanish. So the Spataro is actually from my father. That's the Italian side, and the Christina that doesn't have an H is from my Spanish mother.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you. So thanks for clearing it out. We are now as a
No problem.
really, truly, it's a truly multicultural part we are in. We don't.
Yes,
My
exactly.
children are mixed kids, mixed race children. I
Yes.
have, but they, I will. That's what happened in Texas. Now, we have to go back to that. Eventually, we are. When we talk about
Yes.
psychology and psychiatric issues, we need to talk
Hmm.
about that the shooting with a kid is a basically practically for all
Of
reasons
course.
is a
Oh,
kid, and
they're
take
babies.
AR-15
Yes.
and killing other babies. What what goes through their minds of those teenagers during that time? Tell me, you treat them and you talk with them every day. What is your impression?
The problem is, basically our executive functioning is not fully developed until we're 25 years old. So basically, your lobe over here, right, that's in charge of your executive functioning, your decision making, planning ability, it is not fully formed until you're 25 years old. So guess what? Teenagers are very much victims of their emotions have impulsivity and have a hard time with long range planning. Not to mention, you got hormones going all over the place. There's a lot of stuff going on in there, and they really need guidance. Now, I do not know the young man's story that committed this horrific act. I know what he did, but I don't know what happened in his life that led up to that. I mean, and then the children who were the victims, and then those who survived, they're now going to have this trauma and this pain for the rest of it. So there's just so much pain to go around. And it all boils down to who is supporting these children, what kind of social supports do they have, what kind of emotional supports do they have in the home. All of this plays a factor. It's like now is, oh, we need to deal with mental health. Okay, so what does that mean? Do you know how many mental health programs get cut? Do you know how few therapists there are in comparison to the people that need them? Do you know how, for some people who are living in poverty, it's hard for them to access such services, or the services that are available? There's enormous waiting lists. So you could be on a waiting list for months. I had a young man who was going through a very severe depression. And his mother spent months trying to find a therapist with an open slot before she found me. And now I'm seeing him and I'm helping him through his journey. But I'm thinking, what if I hadn't been there? What if they couldn't get the help? And there's so many people who are on that cusp who need that guidance, who need that support, and who fall through the
The,
cracks.
no question, stigma, access, cost, all three are important factors in the
Mhm.
mental health access. Now, just you were talking about executive functioning, it is affecting even the adults nowadays. It doesn't need to be in the inner city
Yes.
people. It is across the
Yes.
board now, because of this pandemic, because of this. We are cooped up in the house for 24 hours a
Mhm.
day, and then with the staying with the same people, and it's creating a lot of executive function disorder, in fact, is
Yes,
functioning.
absolutely.
So we have to really mass program. That's one thing that I'm trying to do, is there is no mass mental health relaxation program. Is all the how many people
Yes.
like you are available? I mean,
Mhm.
think about that. As you say that she was waiting for a slot, waiting for a slot to open up for a child. Think about the
Mhm.
executive functioning for other adults. People who are
Exactly.
executives have now, they have a serious problem with executive functioning now. So everybody is a broad
Right.
spectrum of people affecting this process.
Yes.
I think we need to find some alternative solutions, and at least we can, besides the people like you are extremely valuable, they are absolutely needed for the society. We
Mhm.
need more reimbursement, we need more support. I think that is, the stigma is another reason we
Mhm.
consider physical disease is something we consider on the top. Mental disease is like some consider kind of a weakness. That is a bigger problem now.
Yes.
So we have to change our mindset, around the world, not
Yes.
only here. It is around the world
Yes.
problem. As you just mentioning, I was talking before the show. You were talking about people who come from war-torn cities, war like
Mhm.
Ukraine and
Mhm.
Vietnam, and all those people who came there, war-torn El Salvador. These are the people who come down there. They go through
Yes.
different kind of trauma. Tell me, what are the
Mhm.
war-torn people coming from Ukraine, or people from El Salvador, and on those
Mhm.
kind of conflicting regions they come? What kind of things they face?
Well, this is the interesting about living in New York. I love New York. I love my city. Because it is New York, we really do get people from there. So I have gotten people, you said, from war torn countries or from other places, because New York is where everybody comes to, right? When they're trying to escape, they're trying to flee. I don't necessarily make the claim they're not going anyplace else, but a lot of people are coming to New York. So I remember this young man I was working with. He was describing how he used to sleep with a knife under his pillow because he was afraid they would come after him in the night and kill him, because he'd already had a lot of relatives who were killed. And the interesting thing about that is he came from a war zone with that feeling. But then I've had other clients who grew up in abusive households who were in an internal war zone. So there is a lot of that overlap of the world is not safe. I can't be safe. I can't trust anybody. So now that, say, they're now in a safe space, right? They're not in that place where they were being hurt anymore. But how to get them to a place where they're not still re experiencing what they went through. And that's where the PTSD comes in, the post traumatic stress disorder, and the reliving of the experience and the hypervigilance. How do you develop sense of trust and safety when you've never known it, or when you had it and it was ripped away from you? You know, they talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you talk the bottom rungs are the physical needs, the safety and well-being, and it's not until you get past that to the idea of love and belonging, self-esteem, and then the top, which is this wonderful self-actualization. So you have people stuck in those lower rungs just trying to survive, trying to feel safe, trying to live. And that's also where it just contributes to it. And that's where the depression just increases, and the anxiety is at an all-time high. And the pandemic hasn't helped that, because for 2 years we've all been living on the edge of our seat of like, oh my God, what now? You know, it's like, I've had several, like, you know, and then this whole monkeypox thing. We're like, you gotta be kidding me! Monkeypox? Really? We're gonna add monkeypox to everything else we're dealing with. Seriously, I mean, there's definitely times you feel like you're trapped in some crazy dystopian novel, or you know, one of these like survivalist movies, and I'm like, I don't want to be in this movie. This is not good. And I definitely had that feeling at the height of the pandemic, like in 2020, where I literally heard sirens all day long. And I knew what it was. And I'd go, wow, we would having some like, okay, world is scary. And then I would get online, talk to my clients, and they would tell me how afraid they were. So I had to put on my therapist cap and say, yes, I acknowledge it's very scary out there. And we talk about the tools of how to build safety in a world that doesn't feel safe.
Thank you,
And
Christine, and you can stay there with us for a few minutes. I may ask you at the end some couple of questions.
sure.
We may need help. The problems we see, we may need help from another universe, probably. So I'm going to show you where the other universe is coming from. This is
Okay.
called a holographic universe. Uh, this is the fractal medicine part two. I was talking
Mhm.
about why the fractal medicine, the just a minute. I'm going to. This is yeah, fractal medicine part two. This is why we cannot. We have to face head on these mental health problems. We have
Mhm.
to understand how it works and what it does and everything, Christine. So, but anyway, let me just if you so this is a one book I have read in 19. He was a Michael Talbot book. First of the When I came to this country, first thing one of the books that I came across is called
Mhm.
Michael Talbot's book was called Holographic Universe. Uh,
Mhm.
um, uh, so one second, I'm going to keep you a little bit. I'm going to talk about this a little bit, then I will bring you back. So I will bring you back, Christine. Just I will, then let me present, and then I'm sure you have some ideas to give it to us. So Michael Talbot is one of the he died in 1982. In fact, very young age in 1953. He is a gay man, and he died with AIDS. In fact, but Michael Talbot wrote a wonderful book. It's called The Holographic Universe. He was he was one of the first early scientific writers about this brain and mind and consciousness, those kind of things. There was a lot of philosophies from Eastern side, But the Western authors, very few I've seen, is certainly one of them, and I love it is combining the science and medicine together. He did. So one of the things, the holographic universe is the book. I was very impressed. So let me talk about a little bit about the hologram. What is hologram is that the whole contains the pot contains the whole. When you take a picture of the hologram and you cut in half, it doesn't cut in half. You don't see half rows and half rows. The one you see in the picture there, the rows, if you cut in half, it doesn't split into two halves. In fact, it becomes two smaller halves. If you cut it again, it becomes another two smaller halves. Keep on going until you can infinite amount of smallest size. That is the plank's length. You have to go almost to. It is always, that is, it contains the whole. So what it means by whole contains the parts, pot also contains the whole. That is the meaning of the hologram. Has a special feature of that holography, as that holograms have that special, that pot can contain the whole. That is special about the holograms. So, so that is the what he said, that what Michael Talbot was mentioning in his book about the David Bohm and the Carl Pribram. David Bohm is a physicist from New York. He's from Bronx, Brooklyn, actually. He was um, prodigy of Einstein. He was a student of Albert Einstein, but unfortunately, there were not for it is for stupid reasons. In fact, what they did was they kicked him out of this country because they suspected he's a part of the communist regime. He's part of the communism movement. He was not. He was just people attend for stupid. They just pass by. He attend certain things. So unfortunately, he was taken out of his position in the he was discriminated, and then he had to move to Brazil. Then he moved from Brazil to all the way to England. Eventually, he settled in England. He is a brilliant uh, physicist. All physicists know what a brilliant physicist he is. So he talked about quite a bit of about the mind and the quantum. He's a quantum physicist, actually. Carl Pribram is from a Stanford University, is a neurosurgeon. You know, these are the two legendary scientists. In fact, they came up with a theory that brain is a hologram. Brain could be hologram. It simulates holographic ideas, holographic concepts. It simulates. That's what David Bohm and Carl Pribram came in was for proposing. It is a special theory they're proposing it. So, one of the things is called David Bohm. When he was in England, he met Jiddu Krishnamurti. He was a spiritual teacher. He's from my state, my home state of Andhra Pradesh, India.
Mhm.
Is near Tirupati, in fact. He was one of the celebrated philosophers. He is a founder of the Theosophical Society. Is a one in 1960s and 50s and 60s. It was a major organization in the movement, in the New Age movement, actually. So he was a spiritual teacher, but he never considered himself as a teacher. He says that everybody is a teacher. But if you see on the YouTube, you see a lot of videos between the David Bohm and Krishnamurti talking together. So David Bohm is a quantum physicist. So one of the things he proposed is through mathematics, in fact, implicate and explicate order. What this is all about is that implicate order means internally, inside all of us, there is only one mind, oneness everywhere. There is no difference between you, me, or anybody else. We are all under the oneness. It comes out. You know that is implicate order that she came. He came with the mathematics to prove the wave function theory. I don't want to go into the quantum physics at this time. To explain the wave function collapse, he came back with these mathematical formulas and implicate and explicate order. Implicate order is that internally something going on. It is some universalness is there in the implicate order under the surface.
Mhm.
On the surface, when you think about thought, thought comes out as an explicate order. So, somebody was saying that I'm not a Christian, but somebody says in a Christianity you were born as a sinner. In thought is a
Mhm.
sinner, sin. What David Baum is saying, the thought is the explicate order. It comes out of the implicate order. It is impure. It's a thought itself is an actionable. You can do good
Mhm.
things with it, but it is a implicate explicate order, comes out of the implicate order. That's what
Mhm.
David Baum suggesting, that thought comes out from a implicate order. So thought is not a sin in that sense, but it is thought itself can be impure. That's what he meant by thought as an action. So they came up with he was trying to understand the quantum physics, the wave function collapse, and he was trying to understand it. So he came back with this powerful theory called implicate order and explicate order. Still is a very good theories. In fact, people
Mhm.
respect David Baum. Is one of the well-respected quantum physicists. And then after that, then Amita Goswami, there is another theoretical physicist, came back with a different kind of a consciousness approach. So he was, as I mentioned before, David Baum, he says implicate orders like a universal consciousness. What I said, I'm just going to talk about consciousness because we are going to talk about consciousness hacking. So through
Mhm.
technology. So I'm giving you groundwork on the consciousness. So it's a belief in the physicalish, the people who believe in the physicalism, they believe universe is created, then stars were born, planets were born, Earth came out, and then biology was born out of in this biology came out from then consciousness is the emergent property of the biology. That's what a physicalist view of the world. That is the way
Mhm.
we all think that in the physics point of view, some physicalist point of view. But Amita Goswami is a quantum physicist himself, but he said that different way. The consciousness is the fundamental, is a ground to all of it. That's like a universal consciousness is there. It exists.
Mhm.
It is so that universe comes out of it, and then stars. These are all mind is a mind creating a matter. That's what that a lot of people use that mind creates matter. That's exactly what it is. The other may be on
Mhm.
the right side here and there mixed up, but that's what it is. So consciousness creates all those things. Is a biocentrism is Robert Lanza is another doctor that he proposes this he subscribed to this theory of consciousness creating the whole realism, physical aspects of the universe, physical aspect of the world is created by consciousness. There's nothing is there. Right? That
Mhm.
some of the arguments are that Amita Goswami is a physicist. So that is the consciousness, one of the theories of the consciousness. The next one is Roger Penrose and Stuart Dameroff. That they are recent ones. In fact, I met I met Sir Roger Penrose. Anil Bon
Mhm.
is a good friend of mine. So um, Sir Roger Penrose and Stuart Dameroff. Dameroff is an anesthesiologist, and Sir Roger Penrose is a mathematical physicist from England.
Mhm.
They 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 proposed a theory is on the consciousness, that is something. So a lot of the lot in physics, that what they think is quantum behavior cannot happen in the biological world, our biological world here, because they're too big and it's warm, too warm, and the temperatures usually quantum phenomena happens under the lowest temperatures, like a Kelvin temperatures minus 272 degrees, or very low temperatures. It happens. It cannot happen the room temperatures. That's what their claim was. But so that's one of the arguments against the quantum biology, quantum things won't happen with the life. But the Roger Penrose and then Stuart Hameroff suggested there is a possibility that there is a way to do it, through. So they proposed a theory in the quantum consciousness through the microtubules inside the neuron cells. A quantum behavior exhibits a quantum behavior. For example, photoelectric effect. If you see a light falling on your eye, why it is so efficient than a solar battery. Our eye is 100 times more efficient than only 50% efficient is solar battery, and our eyes are 100% efficient. The reason was the reason was our photoelectric effect. When the photon falls on it, it splits into the ghost particle and goes all possible paths, go back to the visual cortex, and then come back and then fix the distance fix the shortest distance and come back in time, and then that is the shortest it travels the shortest distance. That's why it is a very efficient mechanism in that sense. So quantum biology is a very emerging field nowadays. So it's possible the biological lives, they found a way to trick the nature and incorporate the quantum behaviors. So Roger Penrose and Stuart Emmeroff suggested a theory. A lot of times, a lot of people were kind of against it for a while. They thought it is not possible, and there were a lot of skeptics around Dr. Roger Penrose and Dr. Amaroff ideas. There was a lot of skeptics around it, but Anirban Bandyopadhyaya is a scientist from India. He's originally from India, but he moved to Japan, and he's a scientist in Japan, and he
Mm-hmm.
worked on one of the experiments that he experimentally proved it is possible that in the microtubules, the things the neuron the microtubules can exhibit quantum behavior. So next time I'll talk more in detail about that when I interview Anirban when he comes on with us. But so he experimentally proved that it is possible that a quantum behavior can happen in the microtubules. So it is a big validation for the Roger Penrose and the Hameroff theory of
Mm-hmm.
consciousness. So it is in the mind can consciousness can be one of the validations came from experimental physicist uh, Anirban Bandyopadhyaya. Now there is the other ones they came is the Mosers.
Mm-hmm.
It is a Maybrit Moser and Edward Moser. They are um I'm pretty sure they're from Austria. Please correct me wrong if I'm wrong, but they won the
I
Nobel Prize in they won the Nobel Prize in 2014. Uh, so what they won the prize is very interesting. What they won the prize for. Their husband and wife team, they won the
mm-hmm.
prize for this in medicine. It's called
Mm-hmm.
GPS cells in the brain. They found actually in the animals there are two kinds of cells. There is some other cells also, but grid cells and place cells. It's like so place cells or grid cells are like just if I'm going to New York, to meet me on 32nd
Mm-hmm.
Street and on the Empire State Building. Then you give a place cell, you can give an exact location. The grid, you can give a place, and grid is like works like a region. You give a general idea where that is, and then the other one gives you the specific location. So by a particular restaurant, hey, meet me in TGI Fridays on 32nd Street, 32nd, 34th Street near Empire State Building. That is a particular one. But if you meet me in Manhattan, that is like a place cells and grid cells play that role. So they found that which neurons light up during this process. So not only for this,
Mm-hmm.
it navigates into the spaces around us, it also creates the time dimension. So place and times are created by these two cells. Very few cells, in fact, very few cells. They create these place and time. So they won the Nobel Prize for this. They found in the animals and then they extended to the humans now. So what is the did these are all the work in the GPS location for us. Not only it is not just the physical locations, a thought could be a construct of the this geometrical nature of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It creates actually a geometry. Grid cells and place cells create a geometry like a map. It creates a maps.
Mm-hmm.
So so that is a map, actually honeycomb map is fact in grid cells and cognitive spaces they call. They create these maps in our brain. A thought could be a brain, a particular neurons light up, you know, a particular areas that you are navigating to a place. If you are driving to some place, if your mind you're going thinking, even a thought itself could be a cognitive space. So these are new. It's a very relatively new discovery. Place cells and grid cells are, and they won the Nobel Prize. This is really a ground shaking discovery. In fact, so what this brain is a hologram. They took that is a picture of the actually neurons, 50 neurons. They took a picture. These are the neurons lighting up a particular thought process. You can see. So eventually, they can hack those neurons and turn on and turn off. So
Mhm.
one day we can able to really hack the consciousness. Physically, you can access the consciousness. In fact. So that's why some people say you could read the terrorist mind, you could read people what you're thinking. In fact, six
Mm.
seconds before you decide you want a Coca-Cola or a Pepsi, you before you decide it, you can that's these neurons can tell you the story 6 seconds before. So I think
Mm.
the brain is a 50 neurons. That's a real picture of the 50 neurons. These are they located in space that you see. So this is an actual picture. That is of the neurons lighting up. So we are um, so when you see these kind of fractals, it reminds you another art, Jackson Pollock art. It is a fractal geometry. So brain is a fractal. I want to talk with you about the brain, how the thoughts are actually fractally arranged. That's a
Mhm.
new research is coming out. So fractals, or you can see why we see my friend in Mumbai, she does art therapy. Why art
Mhm.
could be a very good instrument of therapy, because
Mhm.
you see the Jackson Pollock contains a lot of people say that he's a trained artist. He's not a crazy guy or a drunk guy. He's a very trained
Mhm.
artist, and he created this art of this segment trial. That is art. Goes for $200 million. Went for $200 million in auction. So that one is that if you what is so special about the fractal art is that if you see 1 feet away, 1 feet close,
Mhm.
2 feet away, 3 feet away, or 10 feet away, exactly look same. They're all repeating inside.
Mm.
uh, that's a repeating and repeating in that one. So the Escher is one of them that gives you that kind of a mathematical concepts to the fractal concept to their art. So what happens really if you can disable the GPS cells? What it does is, what is GPS cells? It tells you space and time. It dispels cells have the function of temporal and the spatial coordinates. It does. So that is gone. So when you disable them or their functionality is gone down, what happens is they're lost in space and time. You feel like you unify with the God.
Mhm.
Universal, egoism dissolves. Your oneness you feel. A lot of people who feel these kind of things when they meditate or when they take
Mhm.
psychedelics, they feel that. But in fact, this
Mhm.
you can do that. Through lowering the somehow you can make the GPS cells non-functional for a while, temporary at least. A
Mhm.
permanent GPS cell damage is Alzheimer's, but if it's temporary GPS cells, you feel that oneness is a lost in space.
Mm.
That is a power of that's a nirvana. Nirvana is a kind of a lost in a thought with nothing. There's no thought with a zero.
Mhm.
so so that is a GPS cells. That's what we do. The consciousness hacking does that. It can. It has VR derives from the unique aspects of the immersion, interaction, and the mental focus. Through that, you're occupied. 80% of your visual channels are occupied through VR. So what it does is one of the things it does very strange way VR virtual reality does is that it lowers the functionality of the grid cells. and place cells.
Mm.
That means when the functionality is gone down, that means you lost it. You feel that you belong to everything. There is no time passing by. You don't know the past, present, future, or they're all stand still. That's the reason is that grid cells and place cells could be a reason. That's one of the strong theory is coming out. So VR can play that role to disable. You don't need to take substances. You don't need a you need a you need to take a hack through consciousness hacking through this process, and then get the training from people like Christine. You will get into the much more better situation than abusing your body through substances.
Mm-hmm.
So 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 what is this? So what I did was, when you combine the Mandelbrot fractals and the negative
Mm-hmm.
hyperbolic structures, what that they use a negative hyperbola. Those are the geometry Albert Einstein used it to describe the general relativity. So if you combine them together, you will get a very strange graphics you get. You don't see them in everywhere. The sounds, auditory hallucinations that psychedelics create, you can recreate those things without psychedelics. I'll show you that in a second. So I'm going to play you a video that just give me 1 minute. No, 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 that this one. Oh, I thought I uploaded it. One second, sir. While you're looking at this page, what is this? These are my things. I thought I did. Um, but anyway, let me look at this while you're watching this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to load up the other ones. For mental relaxation, early human civilizations in the East practiced Buddha's teachings, while in the West they performed rituals. One place they mastered the consciousness through meditation, and other place they altered consciousness through psychedelics. But there is another alternative technique called consciousness hacking through technological innovation. A mathematical equation through virtual reality can offer and alter and master consciousness at the same time. A genius painter from Japan, a legend. Oh, sorry that I am. We have a small technical issue. I'm trying to solve the problem. If you don't mind. Oh, you cannot take two videos, I think. Okay. So anyway, just while I'm talking with the Christine, while he's loading up, and let me do this if it is loading up. So what is the negative hyperbolic structures look like when you combine the Albert Einstein's negative the non-Euclidean geometry structures and the
Mm-hmm.
fractals of Mandelbrot? If you combine them together, you see this kind of things you will pop out. So let me show you
Mm.
this one that um, so so these are the mind capturing things that they are fully occupy visual channels. That's why they hack the mind through
Mm.
visual stimulation. You can hack the mind. Instead of we are playing these violent video games, you show them that you show them 5 times, 5 minutes a day, 25 minutes a week. It can relax. It can help you
Mhm.
relax your mind. That's why it is called consciousness hacking. Through visual and
Mm.
auditory stimulations, you can feel that. And then you need sure, if you have a mental disease, you have to go and see definitely a professional. But here is, you can do executive functioning, what Christine was talking about. And GPS, she was also talking about GPS, in fact. So it is a executive functioning is plan and execute and get the outcomes. Those are things even missing for even people who are executives nowadays. So we need
Mhm.
that help. So we need all kinds of help. This consciousness hacking is one of the better tools, one of the tools at least, besides all the help you can get in other ways. Thank you for watching. I will bring Christine for a few minutes and then see what she says. Yes, Christine, um, that let me come you back and just
Uh, Let me know when
yeah.
you. Oh, okay, I'm back. That
Okay.
was fascinating. That was very, very interesting. And it does align with a lot of what I believe in the work I do, because I believe in the power of the mind. We talk about something in psychology, we talk about the idea that our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions are all interrelated. So a lot of times when we talk about changing someone's thoughts, we're talking about how that will impact their emotions, what they do. It's all interrelated. And we have a lot of mind clutter in our heads, from all the stuff we've been through all the bombardment we're getting on a daily basis. It's busy in there.
You're
So I
busy
could
in there.
see where something that allows it to just sort of relax and get completely calm, that you can get to a place where you could start really with your stuff. And I think that's where people run into trouble, because we're like hamsters on a hamster wheel. We're going, 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 and going nowhere. And a lot of times I will use that analogy with my clients. I'm like, okay, we need to put a stick in that wheel. We need to stop the wheel. Let's really look at what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and what you're doing. And if this is this what you really want? And so I
Thank you.
think anything, yeah.
Thank you, Christine. I think I'm just trying to combine some technology, some science, some medicine, and innovative
Yes.
tools that doctors need to come back with a different kind of methods if they want to be
Mhm,
true innovators. That's one thing.
mhm.
So talking about doctors, I'm a great fan of this coming doctor. Let me this just a minute. Um, I'm going to. So the next week in June 16th, Thursday, next week actually, is going to be Dr. Evan Alexander. I am a great fan of him. He's a neurosurgeon from Harvard, and he has
Mm,
a compelling story to listen to. He wrote two books. One is A Proof of Heaven, and then Living in Mindful Universe. I read both of them, and he was popular in a lot of. He was with the Oprah Winfrey Show and several major network channels, and I'm a
mhm,
great fan of him. I think we physicists we need actually consciousness hacking for ourselves,
mhm,
because we need to dissolve our egoisms and see and open our minds. Medical people also same thing. I am a master's in physics, and I did a
mhm,
nuclear engineering. I did computer science. But one thing I learned, and then from India, that I came from a very religious background, but mostly I never been a religious person like Dr. Alexander, in fact. So more I studied, more I became tend to believe there is something, a consciousness exists. So we have to
mhm,
respect that, and we have to, skeptics. Some of the skeptics I see in both sides, in the physics side and in the medicine side. I see them. I think they need to open up their eyes and listen to people like him. Particularly like him. and that even the physicists, they need to, the egoism exists in everywhere, among the doctors,
Mhm.
among the physicists, everywhere. So I think this is a time for them to open up their minds and listen to, and then see that what they can do, what kind of tools they can get to
Mhm.
understand the patients better, or to come up with the new innovations for the healthcare. Thank you
Mhm.
all for listening so far. That I'm going to play. This is a we have a that I wrote a book called "Science is Not a Subject." Science is not a subject. Um, I did that. I hope. Yeah. So science is not a subject. Science must be a lifestyle. So I created a lifestyle. I wrote a 3 minute chapters on all my books. In my book, 3 minute chapters on several subjects. So mostly, I connected a lot of mathematics and physics to the healthcare because I spent the
Mm.
last 30 years in healthcare. So I'm a physicist. So I did all those things together. But one of the things is Mandelbrot. You can get a Mandelbrot T-shirt. My, the Brandon Kegel was wearing it, and then he sent me the picture. Next time, I'm going to put that picture. But the kids love it. The Mandelbrot fractals pictures, and that kind of you wear that kind of T-shirts. You can buy on Amazon. Dailywearformedicine.com. That's our website. Please go there and check it out. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening, and I leave you, Christina. Stay there with me. Just
Okay.
thank you all. Good night.
Good night. Bye.